Yeti Whisperer, you're first up tonight, man. How's it going? What kind of expensive tackle did you buy today? Right on, Chuck. Pretty sweet, old school. Did you thaw out, Yeti Whisperer? Did your snow melt? How's it going, Chuck? Sold a bunch, getting ready for new rods. What, NRX? Drew, how's it going, man? John, what up? John's got a windmill on his profile picture, man. You Texas guys may not like seeing that. Christopher Shue, what's up, man? Glad you got the wiggle warts. Oh yeah, Yeti Whispers with Kistler. Oh man, those are sweet rods. I love my Kistler rods. Nice. Eric, how's it going? Drew, I'm doing good, man. I'm excited. I got a good friend on tonight that it should be fun. We'll let a couple more of you hop on here, and then I'll introduce you to my special guest. Oh man, Braden's on. We can start. We get Braden and Weston on, man. That combination. Hola, Jan. How you doing, man? Did you catch any peacock bass this week? Oh man, Weston is on. There he is. There's Clint. No rodeoing tonight, Clint. I'm glad you're on with us. I think you're going to like the show tonight. Weston, I don't know, man. I get so many comments. If I didn't respond to you, then I haven't seen it yet because I try to respond to all of them. What was it about? Oh, cool. You're leaving tomorrow. Good. I'm glad you're on with us tonight, Clint. There's JB's fishing. Yeah, I'm doing good. My friends went today, caught 20 peacock bass and some large smallmouth. I didn't know you had smallies down there. I thought you only had peacocks. Hey, John, how's it going, man? I thought for sure last time you told me the only bass in Puerto Rico were peacocks. We're going to talk about smallies tonight because I got a smallie expert on joining us. Oh, cool. Weston got his blade crate today. Awesome, but I don't think it's going to be waterproof. Huge crack in it. Where at? What are you talking about? Pop-Tart, how's it going? Oh, man, Jan. Hey, Chops Bearded's on. How's it going, dude? Hey, Joe's on now. How you doing, man? I cannot believe, man, there's always something with Weston. I sent him that blade crate, and he says it's broken. It's cracked. See the 6-pound smallmouth on Ivy. Good to see you, man. Chops. It's across the whole of it leading down the side. Hey, we got another Canadian, Jeff, on. How you doing, Jeff? Dang. Uh, I'll see what I can do about that there, Weston. That is crazy. Kick Your Bass is on and see Big Hill. The real life, man, we got the whole crew tonight. This is good. This is going to be good. All right. Looks like my guest is in position here, so I'm gonna introduce you guys. What's up?
Am I on air now?
You're on. You're live, man. How's it going?
What's up, buddy? I can't see you, and I wish I could. I don't know what's going on with that, but we'll deal with that. I'm good.
All right. I don't know how to make you see me, how that works, but I can see you great.
Yeah,
so
we'll work on that. Yeah, we'll work on that later. I can hear you good, and I can see everybody's comments. So
good. Okay, guys. So let me tell you about my. Hold on a second. All right, now I can go. Let me tell you about Chris Flint here. We have a unique and interesting relationship. We got connected in a fishing tournament. It was a B.A.S.S Open up on Lake St Clair back in 2014. And if you guys have not ever fished any tournaments like the BFLs or the B.A.S.S Opens or the FLW Toyota Open, basically the open tournaments, I really encourage you to try it because, one, you learn a ton of new techniques and ways to fish, but you meet some great anglers. And Chris is one of these guys that I had the good fortune to be paired up with on our first day. And I had never fished for smallies before up in these big northern region lakes, what I call the North. And I was pretty excited to get with a guy who knew a lot about big water and a lot about big smallies. And we had a great day of fishing out there. And we had a special event happen that kind of connected us as well because as I've mentioned to you guys before, my most popular video at the moment is the one about when our boat took on a ton of water and for all intents and purposes, it sank. We had to bail. And it was a very interesting experience. And I've had so many comments about this, I decided to get Chris on because Chris knows what he's doing. He knows how to drive a boat. He knows how to drive a boat in big water. And my main purpose for putting this video out was to share with the average angler who's out on a bass boat that a lot of surprises can come your way. And if you're not prepared, it can get ugly fast. And that's another thing I've noticed by fishing with a lot of pro angler level guys as a co-angler. There are still a lot of guys that are very careless out on the water. They take a lot of chances and they kind of think in their mind, it'll never happen to me. So I think this will be educational and very informative. And here's another great treat. Chris knows a lot about fishing. He's a fishing guide currently at Guntersville. He has a lot of fishing experience, and he's an offshore expert. He's fished so many of these northern awesome fisheries that you guys probably dream about. And we're going to talk about that. And I know you guys have lots of fishing questions. You can put them on the screen up there and he'll jump in and answer them. And we'll just, we'll have a fun conversation about fishing. And we'll also talk about the boating safety things as well. So anything you'd like to say, Chris, to get us started?
Yeah, I mean, there might be some people that are interested in that whole the boat sinking experience. I definitely want to touch on that. But before we get any further, I want to touch on the fish that we caught during that event. So I was fortunate enough that I fished for like 12 years, fishing the Bass Opens, Costa Series events. I fished upper level stuff. And I'm not saying I did that because I was better than anybody else. I'm a humble guy. I'm not any better than any one of these guys on here. And I'd love to have any one of these guys on here on my boat, because every time I fish, I take a little something from somebody and I apply it to something. I'm just passionate about fishing.
Right.
And I don't think I'm better than anybody else. So that's what I love about fishing. And the day that we went out, I can tell you, when I practiced for that event, I practiced for 6 days and I knew how to find them. I knew what to look for. And it took me 5 days to find these fish. And I found them on the fifth day, the last day of practice. And I can tell you, when you and I were headed out there, I had never been so excited in my life because I knew what we were going to get into when we got out there.
Yeah.
My
And we really,
biggest thing was the weather. Like, the weather had to cooperate, and I wasn't going to go there if the weather was going to be bad. And the weather actually set up good for us.
yeah. So let's talk
I
about that
grew
a
up
little bit.
yeah,
Uh, we got a lot of guys here that don't know a whole lot about the difference between fishing for smallies versus largemouth. And Lake St. Clair, maybe we ought to just talk a little bit about what St. Clair is like, and then what kind of conditions are, as you say, what's the perfect conditions for catching smallies up there at Lake St. Clair. We were there September time frame, I believe.
yep. And the good thing about September is those fish group up, and so your chances of getting on a really good, like, group of fish is good at that time of year. But the problem is with the fall fishing is the weather. Is the wind always comes in the fall, and um, that's what's going to be your issue. So when I saw our weather leading into it, and I found those fish way out where we were, um, I knew we were going to have a good chance to catch fish. But anyway, St. Clair is a small. I don't say it's small, but it's a round bowl and it's flat. So when the wind hits it, and if the wind's not going the right way, it'll blow up fast, and it can be really, really nasty. And that was my concern going into this event. Um,
Yeah, yeah,
and and I grew up fishing Lake Ontario with my father, doing lake trout, and we would go so far offshore. I remember being a little kid going so far offshore you couldn't see land any way you looked, and we would troll around. And I remember learning from my dad, like, we would be out there on days when it was slick, calm, glass conditions, and we'd be trolling, and all of a sudden there'd be a little ripple on the water, and my dad would say, "We got to go." And we would take off, and by the time we got back to shore, it was nasty. Like, so I learned a lot from my dad and my grandfather fishing on those big bodies of water.
yeah. It's funny that you say St. Clair small, because compared to the Great Lakes, it's small, but to me, it looked humongous. I'd fished quite a few tournaments at Gunnersville and at Pickwick and up here at Lake of the Ozarks. And pretty much no matter where you're at in a boat, you can see shore. There's a shoreline and it's not that far away. And we got out there and the first thing in the morning and you took off and it just seemed like we were driving forever. And then we get out there and pretty much you could look 360 degrees and you kind of had to squint if you were lucky to see land. And then there was some directions you couldn't see it at all. And
Yeah, I think there was one little spot we could see a little bit of land once in a while when we were out there, but it
yeah,
wasn't that far that I consider that far. But I mean, it's a different feeling when you get out that far, for
yeah,
sure.
yeah, isn't it? Yeah. So the other thing that I think was a new experience for me is this lake has all these sandy spots in it. It's got all this grass, and then we start fishing, and I ask you, like, what are you doing? You said, I'm looking for the sandy spots. And you would set up, seems like if I remember right, you would set up and we would drift over these sandy spots. and you'd tell me, hey, we got one of these sandy spots coming up. You're going to start hitting them. And sure enough, as we get over those, basically it's a hard bottom. You'd start running into the fish. And you reminded me, I had this counter where I was counting the fish, and man, we had an amazing day of fishing.
Yeah, it was all about, when I found that spot, it was all about this ginormous weed bed that had, it looked like a map of sandy spots through it. And when I found that and I started catching fish out of there, like there was so many fish in there. It was one of the most, it besides me sinking our boat, it was the most unbelievable school of fish that I've ever found on some of the Great Lakes. And I mean, it was every single drift, we would catch 2, 3 fish. We'd do another drift and just catch them and catch them and catch them. It was an unbelievable day all around.
Yeah, it was. And I didn't even realize how unbelievable it was, because that was my first time up there fishing. And then the next time I went, I think I went to Champlain, and I'd heard amazing things about Champlain. And I had in my mind, it's going to be like St. Clair. And well, there's smallies at Champlain, but it's very different than St. Clair. It's a pretty amazing place as well.
And that could be that, and that is a beautiful place. And one thing about smallmouth is, from one lake to the other, they're a whole different monster. And I grew up fishing smallmouth, and I've learned to understand that different lakes, they act totally different. But Champlain is a really good fishery too.
I know, it's amazing. In fact, the thing I love about Champlain is you can catch largemouth and smallmouth both. And that's really exciting. Why don't we tell them too, kind of what techniques we were fishing with at St. Clair? Because I'll bet there's some guys on here who really have never even drop shotted before.
I want to hit a little question here because it's probably one of my favorite questions that I've ever been asked. So I grew up on the St. Lawrence River. The question is from John Gill, and he said, would love to hear how he thinks gobies affected the fishery. So I grew up on the St. Lawrence River, and I don't know if anybody is familiar with the St. Lawrence River, but it's one of the best smallmouth fisheries in the country, bar none. Like, it's connected to Lake Ontario, ginormous. I don't know how many. I bet you I have over 100 5-pound plus smallmouth on the St. Lawrence River, without a doubt.
I mean, think about that.
That's where I grew up.
Think about that. Did you hear what he said? 100 5-pound smallmouth. I mean, that is insane. I fished St. Lawrence last year, 2019, for my first time, and I just couldn't believe it. I could not believe the size of smallies up there.
Unbelievable.
Sorry to interrupt you, but man, that's not a passing comment. That's amazing.
Yeah. So to back up on your goby question, when I was a little kid, so I lived and grew up on the St. Lawrence River, the best fishery in the world. No.
Uh-oh, we lost your sound. Uh-oh. Hello. Wow, it looks like everything's working on my end, but I'm getting no sound from your mic, Chris. Okay, while he's looking at that, I think yeah, go ahead and reboot, Chris. No problem. All right, while he's rebooting, I think this has to be addressed here. What do you guys think? If y'all remember, I gave my crush a gift basket for Valentine's. Her boyfriend got a little mad, but she seemed to enjoy it. This is a 13-year-old. What are we going to do with this kid? He breaks my blade crate that I send him. Holy moly. I do not know what to do with you, Weston. This is a fun conversation here. We're going to get a lot more into this when he gets back on. I texted my friend about smallmouth bass, and he told me no, that I got lied to. All right, that makes more sense. Actually, I feel better about that lie because now you're not a liar. You told the truth. Sweet. I'll give you a few announcements while we're waiting on Chris to join us. One is tomorrow night, I'm going to do a live unboxing video again. I got my 6 cent Super 6 sack in the mail today. So I liked doing a live stream on that. So I'm going to do another live stream tomorrow night around 7 p.m. if you guys want to join me, where I will go through the unboxing of the 6 cent Super 6 sack. I've also got my Monster Bass box. I may do that one at the same time. I don't know, Weston. Weston's trying to blame the broken blade crate on FedEx for playing football with it. So I'm going to do the live stream tomorrow, and then we'll have a regular live stream Saturday night, which should be fun. I've got an unboxing video of some swim baits that I'm going to be sharing here in the next little while. And we're going to be giving away this bass fishing kit today. The Yum Bass Fishing Kit. After we're done with Chris's interview, we'll do that. And we'll just do like we did last Thursday, just one single question, one prize. That's it tonight. It might have been you, Mr. Bass. That's true. Maybe I didn't pack it good enough. I thought it was packed pretty well, though. Clint, I have a tournament next week. The water's frozen right now, and I can't believe they're still going to have it, but I think they are going to have it. We've got weather in the 50-degree range the rest of the time, so I don't know what to expect, but I've got a tournament next weekend, so the live stream, I'll probably be on the water. I don't know how we'll do that. We'll talk about it and see. Wow, Pop-Tart. I know the mail's really been slow lately. Okay, this Yum Bass Fishing Kit. This is a 3600 series tray, tackle tray. John's asking. These are pretty good. These are not cheap tackle trays either. These are really good, solid Plano tackle trays. Oh man, look at this. Here I give this guy a gift, and he's making fun of me. Yeah, that is crazy, Yeti Whisperer. From -2 to 80 in a single week. That is crazy. I live in Missouri, Dan. Okay, looks like we got Chris back here. Let's give it a go.
How about now?
Gotcha. And I can hear you. So,
okay.
I don't know. That was crazy. Stuff happens.
Yeah, who knows? All right.
So you're talking.
Let me throw in something. Yep, let me throw in something real quick. Everybody that sticks around, I got something that I'm going to give away that I'm going to let Mr. B.A.S. give away, but you're going to want to stick around for it. It's going to be pretty cool.
Sweet.
So everybody that hangs out is going to get something good. Everybody, thanks for sticking around. And so we're talking about gobies. Back when the St. Lawrence River did not have gobies and it was all grass, and we used to fish for smallmouth in grass beds and stuff like that. When the gobies got introduced, everybody thought the smallmouth fishing had died off and they were bad. The reason being was the grass started to die off and people were fishing those same areas, shallow, 10, 12 feet, looking for gobies or looking for the smallmouth. When the gobies and the zebra mussels took over, it made it better. I mean, I don't know if it's a good thing that it changed the ecosystem because they shouldn't have been there, but that's what made our fish get bigger was gobies, without a doubt. Same with Lake Erie. Um, they're in St. Clair now. Oneida Lake is one of the well-known lakes in New York. Gobies are absolute steroids for smallmouth.
Yeah.
Whether they're supposed to be there or not, it's good for the ecosystem. I don't know, but it makes smallmouth ginormous.
Yeah. So as a fisherman, it's hard to hate them.
Yeah. As a biologist, I don't know.
Yeah,
We'd have to have somebody else on to talk about that, but
I know it. So here's a question,
gobies
Chris.
make it good.
Do you recommend Chris as a guide on Guntersville? Sadly, I do not know that lake, but I only live 40 miles or so from there. I fish Weiss Lake and Neely Henry. Of course,
He
Big
fishes
Hill.
I hear Weiss Lake is like ginormous crappie fishing there.
So Big Hill is a great guy. He's actually donated tackle to the channel to give away before, and he's a good guy. I can tell you, I've never fished with Chris on Guntersville, but I know he's quite the stick, and he takes his job seriously. So he's not going to he'll do everything he can to get you on fish. I can guarantee you that. Let's see.
My best time on Guntersville is summer, obviously deep fishing, what I like to do. So if you like to throw a spoon, big shaky head, and learn how to use your electronics and catch fish, that's definitely what I can show you how to do.
Right on. I saw a question, I think it was by John, about smallmouth fishing here, but I can't. Oh, here it is. What kind of drop shot bait were you guys using?
Erie darters. I don't remember what you were using.
I think I was using robo worms because I didn't know about any other real smallmouth. I had some. I did have some crosstail shads as well.
Oh, yep.
Yeah, yeah. And then you gave.
I'm not sponsored by the poor boys or anything like that. But if anybody has smallmouth around, if they've never tried an Erie Darter Junior, you need to get one of those. Mango Magic.
Mango Magic.
An absolute smallmouth. Not a sponsored thing. Not any baits I get free. That's just, and I probably wouldn't have said that if I was in smallmouth country still, but I'm down here doing my thing for largemouth. But Erie Darter, Mango Magic.
Awesome.
Super good bait.
For sure. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your sign there behind you on the wall?
So, in my travels, if anybody can see my little sign sitting back there, NoCo Grit Coffee. In my travels, when I was fishing tournaments all over the country, I got sick of drinking crappy coffee, and I end up starting my own coffee company. And I have somebody that roasts for me, and I made all the logos myself. A lot of it's just outdoor adventure inspired logos that I did. And it's just quality coffee that I try to sell cheap. I really don't try to make a huge profit off it. It's just because it started as a hobby. But if anybody
Yeah, so his coffee, I know I've seen a lot of stuff about it on social media. I don't drink coffee, so I haven't tried it, but I know he definitely has a lot of fans out there. So it's definitely something to think about. And if you follow Chris on social media, he is very active on Instagram and Facebook, I know for a fact. And his wife is too, and man, they are couple of the most optimistic people you will ever run into. So if you want to see some great posts about a lot of different things, including fishing, I would recommend that you follow them. And Chris, you can tell people what your Instagram and stuff is. Man, we've lost your sound again. Yeah. What is going on? This is crazy. Do you have an external speaker or is it built into the computer? Built in, he's saying. Yeah, audio's gone again, John. I'm not sure what happened there. Frank, I will put a link in for the coffee. In fact, if you want to put it in the private chat there, Chris, for a link for your coffee, I'll put it on the live stream there so guys can get it. NoCoGritCoffee.com. Okay. NoCoGritCoffee.com. There's a link for his coffee, guys. And then his Instagram is live up north outdoors 23. Yeah, this is unfortunate that he's having speaker problems on his end because he's got a lot of great information to share with us. So let's hope it gets worked out there. Oh, is Landon on now? I didn't see Landon before. Hey, Sam. Is Dakota on? Yeah, John, I don't know. We can ask him when he gets back on. Chops, Bearded, thanks, buddy. And Mr. Shoe, thanks for the super chats. Appreciate it.
Can you hear me again?
Yep, gotcha.
Ugh. We'll have to work on this a little bit, but all right. Where are we at?
Christopher Shoe, I work in electronics. I can get you a brand new top-of-the-line laptop for free, Chris. That will work. How about that?
Well, for something like that, I'd offer a guide trip to somebody if he was around here.
Yeah. Hey, John's asking, where do you source your beans?
Most of them are out of Costa Rica.
Costa Rica.
Coffee keeps me from prison.
Well, that is good to hear. Yeah. I'm glad you're not in prison, Frank. Oh, Dakota, how you doing, buddy? That's my nephew. He's on his mom's deal there. Everybody say hi to Sam Walker, which is Dakota. That's my nephew.
What's up, Sam? So how many people on here have boats or get to go out in boats? We got a bunch.
I know JB does. Yeti Whispers probably got a boat. What do you guys, how many of you guys have boats?
Give us a thumbs up.
All our high Sams are coming on now. Okay, Kick Your Bass has a boat. Clint does. Real Life does. Chuck does.
Lake Fork.
Oh, Yeti Whispers on Lake Fork.
I'd like to go there.
Landon's getting a John boat. Landon's 14, by the way. That Landon 4414.
Oh, nice.
He's 14.
I started out in high school. I didn't have a boat, and I took wood shop, and I made my own canoe. That's how I started fishing.
Sweet.
Yeah, it was so awesome.
Old JB Fishing Stuff and More. I know him. He's a boat repairman, and he's a jig. He makes jigs. In fact, he sent me some jigs, and I'm going to show those to you guys. Frank uses a pontoon, it looks like. Dan gave us a thumbs down, so I guess he doesn't have a boat. All right, so it's probably about, from what's on here right now, it looks like about a third have boats.
Yep. But if you flip the other part of that, there's a chance you're going to be in a boat sometime. And I guess that's what my point was, is let's get into this whole little experience that you and I had
Yeah,
and how we handled it
yeah,
and what I knew and how you reacted. And a lot of people think, I think the biggest thing that sticks in my mind was after all that happened and it got posted, people were like, well, if you were in a Ranger, it wouldn't have happened. If you did this, like, no, 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 no. Like,
yeah.
people don't realize, like, when it goes bad, it's going to go bad, and being good and preparing for it is what's going to save you. And that's really what I want, like, to share with everybody.
That's right. So that day was a nice, if I remember right, it was a nice sunny day, and it was warm. It was nice and warm, and we went out and kind of. Why don't you tell everybody kind of what happened as we went along during the day?
It was a beautiful day when we ran out, like slight rollers, stuff I'm used to, and it was going to be, I knew it was going to be about 50 minutes to get out to our spot to fish. Slight rollers, and what I mean by that is they're spaced out far enough apart where you can drive between them, and
Yeah,
it's a nice easy ride. And I'm not one that drives a bass boat 100 miles an hour. Like, I've hurt myself before from different stuff. So we had a nice ride out there,
yeah,
and we got out and fished, and we fished until about noon. And regardless of what was going on, I knew I was going to leave around noon, and I was going to save myself almost 2 hours to get back because I knew the weather was changing, the wind was changing directions, and it was going to be a rougher ride back in. Um,
yeah,
so
yeah.
I say,
In fact, I think I remember you telling me that on the way back, it's probably going to be a little rougher.
yeah, on the way out, I said that to you. I'm like, we're going to leave around noon, regardless of what happens. And I saved ourselves 2 hours. Now, if the weather was good, it was only going to be an hour in. And if it was a little bit rougher, it was going to be between an hour and a half and 45, but I still saved that amount of time. So it wasn't like I was going to rush to get in there. Um, so we caught a pile of fish, and we both had 17 or 18 pounds in the live well, both of us. And that's a good bag for that year and that time of year for Lake Erie.
Yeah, we caught 74 fish that day.
Yes, we did. I was waiting for you to say that. I'll never forget that when you pulled out that clicker and said, I've never caught a smallmouth before. And then it went like 30 minutes into it, and you're like, oh my God, we're catching so many. I got to put them on the clicker. And I'm like, I've never seen a guy have a clicker before. And, but we absolutely, that's no joke, 74 of them. I'll never, ever forget that because of what followed from that.
Yeah, it was such an amazing day of fishing. And of course, here's one thing: if you've not tournament fished a lot, if you know you've got a full live well, and you know you got a good bag, and you know you got a 2 hour run, you don't really waste around. You don't waste a bunch of time. You pack up and you get going when you need to. If you're desperate and you're not catching anything, you might stretch it. But we weren't really in panic mode at all during the whole day.
No, and there's one, and the reason that I say I left 2 hours and I knew we should have been back early. The Great Lakes get rough, and if you have to hurry, it beats your fish up, and I don't like to do that. They get sloshed around the live well and stuff. So
Absolutely.
I always go slower, especially when I get a good bag of fish.
Yeah, for sure. Now, one of the things that I remember is, like you said, it wasn't for the Great Lakes. It wasn't rough, but from my perspective, because I hadn't been on big water before, it seemed rough all day. We had the boat was really rocking, and I noticed, kind of in hindsight, that water was coming in over the transom a lot during the day, and it seemed like that those bilge pumps were pumping a lot during the day. And
yeah, that's normal.
and that's normal. It didn't seem like any big deal. But the reason I bring this up is because several people in the comments in the video said, well, come on, get a clue. If your bilge pumps are running all day, you got a problem. And to me, I think that's someone that doesn't really understand big water, big lakes, because
Yeah, no, that's a normal thing on the big lakes, and the reason being is you have the swells, the rollers, which aren't so much dangerous, they're just big. And when you have a trolling motor and you're working over a specific section of water and you're holding your boat in a position where sometimes you just come up and you drop in a wave where you get the water that breaks over the top of it. And that's why we had that water that was coming in like that you talked about.
right.
Totally, totally common. I can guarantee you that if you're on good fish on any of the Great Lakes and you're fishing, your boat is always going to be wet.
Yeah,
Always
it's
going to
just
be wet.
part of it. It's just part of it, and it's fun.
When you go on the Great Lakes, it can be the best, sunniest, calm day. Just put your rain gear on because you're going to get wet. That's what happens on the Great Lakes.
No doubt. And so we caught our fish, and basically we load up and we start heading back. And why don't you tell them, because that's when the action started, pretty much.
Yeah, and prior to that preparation, I know how that stuff goes. So if anybody's familiar with how bass boats are built, you have a bottom shell and a top shell, and they place them over the top of each other like this. And the way that Triton was built, when they drop those shells over, there's a bead of glue, and then they put a rub rail and screws around it. And a lot of times on your rub rails, you'll see the rubber kind of come off or like stick out off your rub rail. And that's a clue that your screws are broke or they're backed out. Seen it happen before. Before I went to this tournament, I went through and re-siliconed everything and put those screws back in because that vibration and the hard driving on big water just makes those screws come out. So I had done all that before this tournament, knowing that it was going to be in rough water. So it just goes to show that a lot of stuff that you prepare for, it'll still go bad out there.
That's right. I mean, one thing that I have noticed, and you've probably noticed as well over the years, whenever I've told anybody about this, nobody believes that you can actually, the cap can have any kind of separation from, the boat in a way that water could come in. And, we didn't believe that was possible either, really, until it happens to you. And in fact, you said it when we got on shore, we were looking all over, seeing is there a hole in the boat where, and we didn't even notice initially what was causing it.
I was 100% never heard it. I was 100% sure that I had a hole in my boat or the plug broke out or something. The way that water came in, I'm like, I had to put a hole in it somewhere. And had never even thought that that hole would come unglued and separate the way it did.
Yeah, yeah,
Mind blowing.
I know. And not only that, like you said, we had a typical normal 50-minute ride out there, and we speared a wave or two. It was very minor, and there was no event that would have even given us any kind of clue that there was any damage to the boat. I mean, it just, didn't feel anything really.
Yep. And the moment, like we speared a few waves, no big deal. I do it all the time. Like you try not to, but it happens.
Mm-hmm.
And as we were going along, when you drive a boat so much, you can tell when something's not right. And I could feel that back end just didn't feel right. Something felt heavy in it.
Yeah,
And it wouldn't get up on plane. And I could tell it wasn't the motor. And that's when I said to you, I'm like, we got a problem. Like, you need to
yeah,
get back and look at, I'm going to keep it going because I knew we had a problem. Like,
yeah,
in my mind, I'm thinking, like, for some reason, there's a big hole underneath the boat.
yeah,
And I told you, I'm like, get back and look at those batteries for me.
yeah.
Uh,
And I popped that lid open, and it was like, Holy crap, it's full. It's
I'll
full of
never
water.
forget. I'll never forget when you said that, and I looked back and saw the water coming out of there, and then I looked around us and didn't see any land.
Yeah, there was no land. And you had a plastic 32-ounce cup that you tossed to me and said, start bailing, start bailing. And I got the water down to about the top of the batteries, maybe. And then we got going, and then it still wouldn't get up on plane. If I remember right, I had to get up on the bow and
Yep.
try to weight it down just to kind of get on plane. And how far did we go? You did get on plane, but it didn't go very far at all before we were
Yeah,
back.
we got like less than 100 yards, and it just and that's when the scary part happened, because when we came off that last plane and we sat down, and I'm like, we got a real problem. And about the time I said that, like, it was up to my waist, like in
It
the
just
boat. It
came right
filled
up.
that quick.
It just came up through the floor, just whoosh, it was suddenly full. And I
It
was
filled that
standing up
quick.
on the bow. I was standing up on the bow trying to wait. There was a pleasure boat that went by, and I'm jumping and waving, and they just went right by. I don't think they ever saw us. It was hard to believe.
So here's the and I knew we were going to talk about that part because I remember that. But here's the point that I want to make, and I hope everybody remembers it, because at the point where you hit that panic mode where like something really is bad and you
Yeah,
panic and you're trying to think, and I'm a police officer, so I'm used to like stressful situations, and
right.
some people may not be, but you need to have in your boat a jump, what I call a jump bag. So a little bit of supplies, a couple bottles of water, um, a radio, like a VHF radio. You need
Yep.
to have those certain things that you like in a little bag, that when something goes bad really fast, you can grab that bag. And if you have to get out of your boat or something happens, you grab it and it's with you, and you can float in the water. And that's so super important. Like, you do not realize how super important that is, because
That's
when you panic, you don't think of all that stuff.
that's right. If you don't have it ready, you're not going to think about it. I was thinking my big fear. I don't know what yours was, but my big fear was if this boat goes down, these waves are high enough, people won't see us. I'm up here on the bow of the boat waving my arms like a madman, and they drive by and don't see us. If we're bobbing in the water in between the swells of these waves, how long are we going to be out here before anybody even finds us? And
Yeah, and even though it was warm, and that's another thing, even though it was warm, but it was still, it doesn't take much to get cold. My concern was, if we're going to be in that water for an amount of time, we're going to have hypothermia, and
yeah,
how long are we going to be able to last that? That was my major concern. Not drowning, because we both had life jackets and we're going to float.
right.
Um, my thing is we were going to be cold.
You're right. I mean, even in the heat of the summer, the Great Lakes never get very warm.
Yep. And even when it's warm, if you're wet, if you've ever been wet for a long time, doing stuff, you get cold. It could be 80 degrees. If you get wet and you stay wet for 6 or 8 hours, you'll be freezing even if it's 80 degrees. And if you've never experienced that, it's horrible. And I've done it with some different training things that I've done through police work and whatever. So I can tell you, like, hypothermia is a major issue if you ever go into the water.
Yeah. So you're a licensed boat captain, but you also are part of the rescue team or something for the police service you work for at Gunnersville now, right?
Yeah, I was a police officer in New York for 20 years, and I moved down here to retire. Um, and the reason I got down here, actually was, I don't know if anybody knows Randy Howell, good buddy of mine. He won the Bassmaster Classic on Lake Gunnersville.
Yeah.
Anybody know Randy? I could get him on here sometime and we can talk some other stuff. But
Oh, that would
that's
be
why I
amazing.
came. That's why I got down here, was Randy Howell. He's like, man, you got such a good thing going. I can get you some set up with guiding down here and you're good on the lake and whatever. But that's why I moved down here. And I got bored and I missed police work. And then I saw they had a police boat here in Gunnersville, and I'm like, man, I've never had a police boat where I worked, so I got hooked up on that. Now I drive for the SWAT team. We do all this different training, and I've had a ton of other boat training um, with a super awesome boat. If you guys follow my social media, you'll be able to see some pictures of that police boat that I drive. So
Yeah, that's
I'm just
sweet.
fortunate. I just get to do some really cool stuff.
No doubt. So we fill up with water. And what were you thinking? Because we were both thinking the same thing, but different things, obviously, because you were one, it was your boat. Two, you were the pro. So you had responsibilities of not just the boat, but me as
I
well.
cared I cared nothing about anything other than how I was going to take care of you and get you to something. That was my total main concern. Um, and I'll never forget that. Like, I brought him out here, although you signed up to do it,
Yeah.
but I'm like, I'm going to take care of him and whatever happens. And I think you can attest to that when we tried to pull up to that buoy. And
Like, yeah.
you
Yeah.
can tell that story.
We got to the buoy, man. I mean, lucky for us, you can't, if you've never been out there, you can't imagine these shipping channels. They are huge. And there's a massive shipping channel. And that was one of the kind of the fun things about the day for me, since it was my first time out there. These massive ships with all these containers on them, are going by. And I'm like, this is crazy. I'm out here catching smallies while next to massive freighter ships going by. But fortunately for us, we weren't that far from that channel, and they have these massive buoy markers out there. And it was buoy marker number 26 was the one that we were able to get the boat to there, and we just weren't sure if the boat would stay afloat or not. And Chris said, "Yeah, we really ought to get on one of those buoy markers. We know those things aren't going anywhere." And they were big enough that he and I both were able to jump on them, and they held us up. So he wanted to tie the boat off, and I hopped off onto the buoy marker first, and then it just didn't seem feasible, I guess, to tie the thing off. So
I remember the crazy thing about that is the boat was like half sunk in the water, but the motor was still running, like
yeah,
almost like it was unbelievable. It was still
yeah,
running.
yeah,
And when I pulled you up to that buoy, I'm like, take this rope with you. And we had some wind on that buoy, and I said, I'm gonna get you as close as I can, and you get on that shipping buoy. And once you get on, I'm gonna jump up and I'm gonna try to make it. And if I don't, I got this rope and you're gonna hold on to me, because I didn't think I was going to make that buoy because the way the wind was blowing. And I remember I didn't have any shoes on. You got up on
mhm,
that buoy fine, and I make a run and that boat starts drifting off a little bit. And I only had a couple feet to jump from my boat, but it was up to that
it was
shipping
high.
buoy. And
Yeah,
I remember I ran so hard and I'm like, this is the got to be the best jump of my life to make. And I remember when I hit the top of that shipping buoy, almost shooting off the other side of it because all the seagulls shit, and you grabbed me and held me on from sliding right off the other side of
yeah,
it.
yeah. It wasn't a very pretty sight, was it? Uh,
That thing was so full of bird crap, and I almost shot. I'm like, I'm gonna die because I slid through seagull crap and almost shot off the other side of it.
yeah, that was hilarious. I forgot about
But
that, but
then, but then we got up there, and like at that moment, if you've ever been in a situation like that where you're scared to death and you think you might die or you think you might, whatever it was. I remember when we got up there and we just looked at each other and we kind of just like patted each other because we didn't know each other that good and laughed, and we're like, oh my God, this is the craziest thing we've ever done. And then the next thing, and I don't know if I should, is your wife watching this? She
uh,
knows that. But I remember the next thing you said is, you can never tell my wife. Just never let again.
yeah, yeah, that's for sure.
It
I did
was one of those
eventually
bonding
tell her,
experiences.
I know. It's one of those things you'll never forget. That's for sure. The other crazy thing is your phone was dead and my phone was almost completely empty. And there was no phone set. There was like one bar. And I kept trying 911 over and over and over. And finally it connected. And
That's crazy.
yeah, it was crazy. And all I could get out to her was buoy number 26. You know, we're on buoy number 26. And that's how they found us.
Yep.
And then what were we out there? Maybe 20 or 30 minutes is all it took.
They did a really good job getting out there. Yeah, it was.
In fact, the Coast Guard came out and the Sheriff's Department. And so we had plenty of help pretty quickly. And then we got off. And then the whole fiasco happened with the towing company. And man, I learned a lot about towing companies. And one thing I would just tell you guys is don't ever get in a situation where you need to be towed.
Yeah.
It's not, I mean, that's not always possible, but geez, Louise.
I guess what I want to say is when you're getting insurance or for something for towing, if you have questions or you don't understand what it is, call and ask about it and make sure you get the particulars and really look into it, because I'm not going to mention who we dealt with or what it was.
Right.
But I'm going to say that it totally wasn't what we thought it was, and the bill was outrageous. So another big thing is just really pay attention to what your insurance says on that stuff, because it could really break you.
Absolutely. We're talking thousands and thousands of dollars to get towed.
Thousands.
So it's just something to keep in mind, guys. The other thing that blew my mind is how much water they pumped out of that boat. I mean,
yep.
Do you remember he told us like how many gallons a minute that thing pumped out, and it pumped the entire ride back.
Okay. It did. And some of that was show. And so we got somebody down here asking a question saying, does the insurance pay for the towing? Well, it depends on what your insurance is. And there's a whole bunch of stipulations that regard to how far you're offshore, how long there's so many little things in that you really need to, whoever your insurance company is, you need to call and talk to them and say, what if,
right,
before you buy it, or if you have it. The best advice I can give you, so you don't go broke or don't have to pay a bunch of money, is call whoever you're with and say, what if. That's my best advice to you. Because it can be.
You're absolutely right. And those are things you don't think about until you're out there. And then it's like, correct. Oh my gosh, man. So that's just another warning, you know, to be prepared on as many levels as you can, because you just never know. And here's the bottom line: if you're on a boat out in big water, something can happen, and you've got to go in with that mindset that it absolutely can happen, and I need to be prepared for the worst. In fact, just a couple of years ago, out there at Okeechobee, there was a co-angler that died. You know, and I don't remember all the details, but I know he got thrown out of the boat, and the water was extremely cold. I don't know if it was hypothermia or if he just drowned, and he was a very experienced co-angler. He had fished a lot of tournaments over the years, and it didn't matter. And, you know, Okeechobee is a shallow lake. It's not,
you know what? Okeechobee is very similar to St. Clair. It's a bowl, it's flat, and when the water hits it, everything rolls and it gets big really quick. And there's somebody on here that says, man, I'm having a panic attack just listening to this. But it's not to scare you, it's to try to prepare you to deal with if something happens. Like, I'm hoping that some of the information that we give will help somebody if they're out there on the water. And
the other
my hull did not. Yeti Whisper asked, my hull have warranty? No, it did not. It was too old It was past the 10 years, I think it was. Um, so no, it didn't.
Yeah, so that's good to keep in mind. When you're talking about boats, they're expensive no matter what their age is.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, that was quite the experience. Another thing that's interesting is if you ever go through that kind of an experience, I think you'll be surprised at how you just instinctively focus on only one thing, and that one thing is survival. And there's not a lot of time to freak out and scream and that kind of stuff. Uh, you just kind of have this intense focus on we gotta escape. We gotta survive. And
Yep.
that's what Chris was doing. He was totally focused on the boat, trying to drive the boat, trying to get to the boat to the next spot. And I was completely focused on either bailing or trying to flag someone down. And it was kind of a surreal experience for sure.
And if you're never in an experience where like you have all that pressure and things to happen, you don't know how it's gonna work out. So that's kind of like why I'm glad that people can hear like make sure you have these different things. Another thing is if you have a boat, now I carry an extra bilge pump,
Yes.
alligator clips
Yep.
in a Ziploc bag, and it's just stored away. So if I have a bilge pump that goes bad and the weather's bad, or maybe both are working and the weather's bad and we're just having that overflow, I can clip that to the batteries and I got another one that I can pump water from somewhere else. Or if somebody else is having a problem, I can pull up and say, here you go.
Yeah, I do the
So
same
that's
thing. I've got the whole portable bilge pump kit in my boat, and we had bilge pump problems there for a while.
yep,
You had to stop and unclog them or something. I don't remember what you were doing there, but we had some bilge pump issues.
yep.
Yep. The other thing that the Coast Guard guy told me once we got in on land is that he said most bass boats are designed to stay afloat, and
Yes. And I wasn't aware of that at that time.
I wasn't either. And he said, because I asked him, what are the odds of that thing going completely under? Because we thought as it filled up with water, you got
It
the
was
heavy
gone.
motor, on the back. It's completely full. It's just going to completely go down. And he said, boats under a certain length, I can't remember what the length is. Is it 21 feet or 24 feet or something like that? Supposed to be required to stay afloat no matter what. And he said, if it happens to you and you don't have a buoy marker to jump on, just stay with the boat as long as you possibly can, because the odds are it's not going to sink. And also, it's a bigger object for rescue people to find rather than finding a
Exactly.
single person out there bobbing around.
That's a great point. I'm glad you said that because nowadays, like so many of those boats will not sink. And
Yeah,
if that's all you have to do, if you're scared because it's taking on water and doing all that stuff, tie a piece of rope off to the cleat and just hang on to it some, but stay
that's right.
with that. If you're not around anything, stay with that boat because that's what they're going to see. Just like he said, they're not going to see a little body floating in the water. They're going
No,
to see a big boat first.
that's
So
right. Okay, here's a question for you, Chris. What boat are you running now?
a nitro.
Right on. So he got rid of the Triton, but it was water. It was seaworthy, really pretty
And
quick after that,
and
wasn't it?
nothing wrong with the Triton. There's no reason that I switched over. I'm friends with a lot of great anglers, and I just buy my boats because I can get deals on them. The boat I have now is a nitro. I bought it from Jamie Hartman. So if you
Yep,
guys follow the Elite Series or whatever,
yep.
Jamie's a buddy of mine.
Another
I
pro
bought
angler.
that boat. Yep, I bought that boat from Jamie, and he had it set up the way I wanted, so I got that one.
So Chris Shoes asking Nitro what?
Z21.
Right on, right on.
Probably my And the Nitro is probably my favorite boat that I've ever had now too.
Yeah, so that's kind of the story, and we mostly wanted to kind of dispel some of the rumors about being prepared and those kind of things. I don't care how prepared you are, stuff like this can happen, and you can't prepare once it happens. You can only prepare beforehand, and it's pretty important.
Yeah, and I hope just a little bit of this gave somebody, at least one person, something that might stick in their mind if something bad happens, that it'll save them, because when stuff happens and it goes fast, it's scary. It was scary what happened to us, but
Yeah, it was.
And probably that's what bonded you and I, where we've been friends since. When you have something
Yeah,
like that happen, it
yeah,
makes a bond.
it does. It does for sure. Oh me. Okay, so what questions do you guys have? One thing that I wanted to talk about, because we love talking fishing, and Chris knows a lot about fishing, and as I said before, he's an offshore specialist. So if you got questions about smallie fishing in particular out there on big water, now's the time. Now's the time to hit him up. Trust me, Chris, you did for me. I learned a ton. That's great.
Oh, I'm glad, man. Share anything I gave with anybody you know. I'm glad.
Absolutely. Okay. Let me, while we're looking at see what kind of feedback we get here, what did I do with those? I want to grab those jigs that JB sent in, guys, so that you can see the ones that he sent me. Give me a second here. I should have had them up here with me, but.
Hey, John, before I got addicted to bass fishing, I've been to Canada probably 15 times doing fly-in trips, just for pike fishing, like unbelievable northern fishing. Get flown in, dropped off on a lake for 7 days, fish. I've been Northwest Territories fishing for northerns.
Absolutely. That is a blast.
And then I got the bass fishing, so I switched over to that.
I still go up to Canada every year and go on a week-long trip because I can't get enough of that big old pike fishing. Man, it's a blast.
Yep.
Of course, Canada's shut down right now, so this year we're going to have to go to Alaska, which is still not bad.
Seriously.
But
I want to go to Alaska too, so I got to go let my dog out for a minute, keep him entertained. Okay. Thank you.
No problem. Okay, guys, old JB Fishing, he's been sending me some jigs. I actually just got them in the mail today. Let me show you while we're Chris has some really dogs. You'll see him a lot in his social media. Here's a PB&J. Interesting thing, he sent me these jigs and he even put trailers on them for me. I mean, that's service there. I didn't really require that. This is a light jig with an archy head on it. And man, that's a pretty sweet looking jig, isn't it? Kind of a brown jig there. St. Clair is good muskie and some pike too. I think I would be all about muskie, man. I would love that. I'm just going to go through these. He sent me about, I don't know, 6 or 8 jigs here. This one here is a football head jig. Looks like it's probably about a ½ ounce. And look at the colors on this thing. Pretty nice one, huh? He's got like a little zoom chunk on there with some curly tails on it. The other thing is this head. I don't know if you can see the head on this, but it's almost like it's a powder-coated head with it feels like rhino liner or something from the back of your truck he's put on the head there. JB, what's your let's see, he's saying, I just learned about the powder painting process. Yeah, they do look great. What's your specialty as far as the jigs you make, JB? What's your favorite? He sent me a variety of all kinds. He sent me that Arky jig, a football jig. This looks like a finesse ball head jig. Chris, I was telling him this is interesting. He sent me all these on them.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I got to figure out how we're going to work on getting your picture up so I can see what you're doing next time we have a chat.
Yeah. Let me see here.
Does he make shaky heads?
I don't know. JB, do you make shaky heads? Hold on a second. It looks like we might have lost our stream. First time that's ever happened.
Really? Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can still hear you fine. It says we're connected, but the chat has stopped. Nope.
No, I still got it.
They're saying we're on. They're saying we're on. Okay, good. They can hear us. All right, good. Can you see me? Yep, they can see us too. Good. Strange, but I've disappeared on my screen here. I can't see me anymore. And nothing's changed. Weird. Here's another Arky jig. Actually, this is more of a, I guess this is an Arky jig here. What do you think of that one, guys? Just went big. What's that mean, Clint? What did you just do? Not the stream. It zoomed in on your feeds. Okay. So I don't know that they can see me, but they can hear. I think they can see you. Mr. Bass, I work in electronics. I can get you a brand new laptop for free. This is actually
your screen is zoomed in, but I can't see you.
Yeah, I know you're saying that. Let me go back to this screen here. Let me turn my camera off for a second and see. My camera.
Now we're both bobbleheads.
We've had more technical issues on this show than I've ever had. It's kind of like the boat thing.
Yeah, it says it's better now.
It's better now. We can see both of you. It's zoomed in. Yeah, that's strange because I don't even have a way to turn mine off here. Anyway, it hopefully we'll figure something out here in a minute. But if you can still see us and hear us, then we'll just keep going. Now here's like a swim jig that he made. Can you guys see that? I think this is a pretty nice color pattern on this one. Got that one, and then he's got another one, same color pattern with a football head. It's like a Ford. If it's working, don't screw with it. Well, this is one of those funny things where Chris didn't touch anything when his sound went off, and I didn't touch anything when my video went off. So what can you say? This is actually a really big skirt he's got on this one. Same color pattern, but really nice, big beefy hook he's got on this one. That's a 1/2 ounce flipping jig, he said. All right, and this last one, this one kind of looks like a.
No, I just wasn't moving. I was.
Yeah, I see him moving. He doesn't look frozen to me. Okay, and this is an. Is this
what you're showing everybody?
Is this a flipping jig here, JB? This one's not a 1/2 ounce. This has got to be more like a 3/8. Looks pretty good as a green pumpkin. JB's making some nice looking jigs, guys. You might want to reach out to him if you're looking for some hand tied jigs. Looks like he's using like copper wire on these things. Pretty sweet. Kick Your Bass says you're frozen now too, Chris, but I see you moving. You look fine to me.
I'm just chilling. That's right.
Okay, why don't we talk about smallmouth fishing a little bit? Drop shot fishing. What's a guy need to think of? Because this is totally different than fishing, the way most guys fish, especially when you get down here in the the lower states. A lot of guys here are from Texas, and a lot of them are they're shallow water fishermen. Deep water is 15 feet. How do you catch smallies?
I guess the big thing is I guess I need to question on it because it's so natural when I go somewhere. I just know what I look at. So if somebody has a smallmouth lake that they live on or they want to try to catch it, ask me a question so I could try to point you in the right direction, I guess.
Yeah. Tubes,
that's
real life sand tubes.
I guess the big thing, if you're on a body of water, that's the number one thing I can tell you if you're looking for smallmouth is current. Whether it's a lake, whether it's whatever, current. And even though it might not look like anything like St. Clair where we were, it was current. It was wind current that was blowing through that grass. Like that's what made that good. And that goes for largemouth too. Current is a big deal because it lets those fish sit in behind something, be lazy, and lets food come to them. So current's a big deal.
So Landon says, what's a good smallie bait in shallow creek? 1 to 5 feet.
So Landon, if you're talking like that, just reminds me of old school, like when I was in high school fishing, I didn't have a boat. We had little narrow creeks that I would fish, and I would buy a 4-inch Rapala, like just a little crankbait Rapala, and I would break the lip off it, and I would twitch it on top of the water, and we would catch fish like crazy on it, in super shallow water. And that was just old school stuff that I remember doing. So don't be afraid to try that old school stuff like that. Go to Walmart, and our favorite one was Fire Tiger. And I caught muskie on it, smallmouth on it, and little creeks like he's talking about.
So John says, what colors do you like besides Mango Magic and Chartreuse?
As far as, so Mango Magic is the Erie Darter. Green pumpkin, obviously. And then if we're talking about smallmouth, I guess I'll give up a weird one that people wouldn't realize. I would never give this up if I still lived in New York and fished against people, but it's so weird. Straight up black in super clear water. I guarantee I would never, if I lived up in New York still, I would not tell you guys this. But if you buy a black drop shot bait in clear water and throw that, they will eat it. I don't know why. It doesn't make
on that St. Lawrence tournament back in 19 that you and I were both fishing. I caught fish one day drop shotting a black not grub. What are those things called? Man, I can't believe I'll think of it here in a second, but they're fuzzy. I can't believe
a marabou.
Yeah.
Marabou jig.
Yeah. Yep. Black, solid black.
That's that question.
And I was catching them on that. So, yeah, on the marabou jig, right. That was fun.
Yeah. Chuck asked if I throw a marabou on Erie or St. Clair, and honestly, I've just never learned it. I'm not good at it, but I know it kills them. But I can't say to you honestly that I've caught them on it because I haven't. I'm just not good at it.
Yeah,
But it catches them.
yeah, it really does for sure. Um,
Somebody just put on there Mango Magic sold out on Amazon. Well, there's a reason I told you that color.
uh, I've thrown a lot of just the typical robo worm colors, like Morning Dawn and just the typical colors. They seem at times to work great on smallies. I know there are certain colors, you can get dialed in, but a lot of that's just experimentation.
I can tell you the robo worm was something that I learned this past year here on Gunnersville, and oh my God, like drop shot. Like I'm a drop shot person still here on Gunnersville. I do it in the grass. I use it all year long here in Gunnersville. And if I had to pick a drop shot bait on Gunnersville, it's the roboworm, without a doubt.
That's amazing. I've never fished a robo worm on Gunnersville. Fished a lot of other worms
Oh
there,
man,
but not a robo worm.
I got buddies that fish with me, and they're like, "You're drop shotting?" I'm like, "Yep, yep." We get them good.
Awesome.
Somebody asked what big flipping baits I throw. I'm not a flipping bait guy. Since I've been down here for almost 2 years, now I guide. So obviously, when I go out, I want people to catch a lot of fish. And to do that, there's not somebody I can take and say, oh, we're going to go flip this stuff and catch fish. So everything that I do is I try to find numbers of fish and fish that are easy to catch for people. So flipping is just something I don't do a lot because I have to have my clients be able to catch fish.
Yeah, I've been on quite a few guide trips, and they usually start out with the most basic worm just to try to get you bites.
Yep. And if somebody asked, like somebody said, I wanted to go do whatever, we could do that. But flipping's really hard, even if you're a good angler, to go through and do that.
Yeah, it really is, isn't it? It just takes a lot of practice. Yep, I'm gone. I just turned Chris on full screen, guys. I'm still here. But guess what? Chris's sound has stopped again. We are having a night. I tell you, it's been great conversation. I've actually really enjoyed it. I cannot figure out why we keep having so many technical issues, but we do. What can you say? I mean, it's just, we're going to have old Christopher Shue get us some computers. All right. Can you see me now, guys? Or not? No, I don't think he hit the mute, John, because I can see if he's muted or not on my screen. It tells me if he mutes his screen, and he's not muted. All right. We'll just have to hang out and wait for him while he's getting it going. I know some of you guys, can you guys see me? Because I'm going to show you some of the bags videos that I got coming up. Can you guys see me on the screen or not? Okay. I'm going to show you some bags that I've done videos on recently that'll be coming out here in the next week or two. Some of these are bags you guys have asked about. Here's the Flambeau Portage pack. Several of you guys have said you want to see a video on the Flambeau Portage pack. Well, here it is. So I got one coming for that. Here's another one you guys have been requesting. The Flambeau Ike pack. So it's a pretty sweet little pack for $60, and I got a video coming out on it. And then check this bad boy out. Check this out. Ego Fishing, man. These dudes make some cool looking bags. So got some coming out on the Ego bags as well. They're pretty sweet. Okay. Chris is back, so let's see if we can get him on. Okay, we see you. Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah, we can hear you. Crazy.
All right. So let's do this before we kick off again.
Yeah.
So I got some hats. I'm going to send, well, I'm going to let you pick how you're going to give them away, and I'll mail them to whoever needs them. But I got some hats from my Live Up North Outdoors guide service.
Sweet.
Okay. Brown ones, red ones.
Nice.
So I got a few that I'll send out to some people, and I'll let you pick how you're going to decide to do it.
Okay.
And I'll also, if anybody's a fan of Randy Howell, I'll get those autographed and we'll get them sent out to them. How's that sound?
Wow. How about that, guys? Randy Howell, the pro fisherman, the Bassmaster Classic champion
from Gunnersville.
That is sweet, man. Awesome. So how are we? I tell you what we could do, especially since we've got technical problems. I do a lot of giveaways on my Saturday night live stream.
Okay.
So when we get done, I'll just find out like how many you've got that you want to give away, and then I will give them away as part of Saturday night's live stream.
Okay. So how about this? We'll throw in a little something extra. Everybody that's on here, make sure you go hit his Facebook, find me on Facebook and follow me. Follow my Instagram. And then I'll talk to Mr. B.A.S. and Randy and I will jump on here and we'll do a show with Mr. B.A.S. and you send some information that you want us to talk about. So whether it's him fishing MLF, winning the classic, whatever it might be, I'll get Randy on here for us and we'll talk to somebody that's really, really, really good. How's that sound?
That sounds like a blast. All right. So they're going to have to go and subscribe to your Facebook channel.
Yep. Just hit me on Facebook, hit me on Instagram.
Okay. Do you want him to put a message in your deal or what?
Yeah, just jump on there and say hi to me and that you met me on here.
Yeah. So just reference Mr. B.A.S. when you give him your message so he knows where you came from.
There you go.
Sweet. That'll be a blast. That'll be awesome. Well, I think we better wrap things up, Chris, while we still can here, because I don't know what's going on with this, our technical challenges. But hopefully we can get that worked out. This has been a blast. I really had a good time. And
Mr. B.A.S., they're asking that on your stuff, just share my links. So you're friends with me on Instagram and Facebook. Just post my stuff onto yours and they'll be able to find me good.
Yep, I will do that. I already put his Instagram on for you guys. And I can't remember his Facebook, but I can send that to you guys.
And then I'll let just have them look up Chris Flint. And so I have Chris Flint and then my Live Up North Outdoors guide page. So once they find my name, they can go to the other one. So if they look up you on Facebook, they'll find me too. I'll let you divvy up how you're going to do the hats. And if somebody wants an autograph or something, and you and I will talk later.
Awesome. That was great info, man. I think this was fun, but it was also very informative, and I could see from the comments a lot of guys really appreciated it. So thanks, really appreciate you taking the time, Chris. It was a blast, and I think
Had fun.
And we'll hopefully we'll get you some guide trips out of this thing. We've already got one asking about it, and
Hey, you know what? I just love teaching people, and I'm passionate about everything I do. So any other questions you guys got, just shoot them me. Yep, I got an email. Easiest one is it's Flint Flint 57 at hotmail.com. I got some other ones, but um, yeah. Anybody has any questions? Look me up, ask me some stuff, and more than happy to answer it.
awesome. Okay, thanks, Chris. I got to do this one giveaway here. That this bass fishing kit. We told the guys that we'd give this away tonight. And I've got only one question here. You guys know how we do this. I ask you a question, and whoever gets the right answer first gets it. So last week on the live stream, this is a two-part answer. So you got to give me the answer. Two parts here on the answer. I showed you a brand new reel that I got from Tackle Warehouse. The question is, what's special about the reel and who makes it? Go. That's it.
All right, buddy. I'll talk to you in a couple days. I gotta go get some.
Chris. Sounds great. Appreciate it, man.
All right, we'll see you.
Bye. John Smith. John Smith is first. John Smith, KVD skipping. I want to back up here and just make sure, but according to my deal, congratulations, John. You did it. That's the answer if you hadn't seen it. KVD skipping reel. Actually, he missed the lose part, though, didn't he? You're not the winner, John. You didn't say lose. Man, this is all messed up now. Really, let's see if I go through this. Here's the funny thing about that, John. It is not a KVD reel. KVD talks about it, but it is just a plain lose reel. So sorry I misled you there. Your answer is not correct. So then if I go to the next one, Clint only answered half. JB only answered half. John, totally wrong. Kick Your Bass was wrong. John Gill, wrong. C Big Hill 75 is the first one to get the complete answer right. Lose skipping reel. That's what it is. So some of you got confused thinking I was talking about this reel, the KVD Quantum Smoke reel. C Big Hill donated. That's not the one I'm talking about. I'm talking about the one that I talked about and showed you guys on the live stream on Saturday night. It's the new skipping reel that only takes 60 yards of line. And it's made by Lose. And JB might be right. It might be called the SP, but I was just looking for the Lose skipping. What's special about it? It's a skipping reel. And it's made by Lose. So congratulations, C Big Hill. And if you want, C Big Hill, if you want this bass fishing kit, shoot me a message on Instagram. If you don't want it, I'll throw it in for prizes next time. Either way, is cool. So sorry about the confusion there. I got to pay closer attention because I got John all excited. He thought he'd won. And Yeti, it's not a KVD reel. I thought it was too, but it's not. It's just KVD did a video on it and talked about how awesome it was, but it's not a KVD reel. In fact, let me see if it's still here. Here it is. The Team Lose Pro SP. So JB was right. And here's what it looks like. You know, all the KVD's reels are red. This is not a red reel, it's black. It's got this cool kind of brass looking spool, which looks cool. It's an 8:3-to-1 gear ratio, which is really nice as well. How about that? I also got a cover for it. Check out the Tackle Warehouse camo cover, reel cover. That looks pretty sweet too, doesn't it? Unfortunate we had so many technical difficulties tonight. It's very bizarre that we had so many issues. Like right now, I'm still on my end. It doesn't appear to be working. I can't see anything on the screen. I'm just taking your word for it that you guys can still see me. SP stands for skip pitch. Good to know, JB. So he's saying on this here, Pro SP stands for skip and pitch. Yeah, Yeti Whisperer, I totally thought it was a KVD reel too, but it's not. So Mr. B.A.S.S is live tomorrow night at 7. Yeah. Yeah, so good question, John Gill. Tomorrow at 7. I don't normally do a Friday night live, but I'm doing one tomorrow at 7 because I got my 6 Sense Premium Super 6 sack. I'm going to unbox it live. I did one of those this week, and that was fun. We had a lot of guys on and had fun talking about the lures. And I'll show you some other lures I got as well. I trust you, Daniel. And in addition to that, I might show you one or two of these cool new swim baits that I bought. I actually just want to do a separate video of the swim baits. I bought some rats, and I got some cool new rats that probably none of you guys have ever tried before. So that's pretty sweet. Mr. B.A.S S, do you have a tourney March 20 and 21? I don't know, Clint. I'll have to look at my calendar. I've got one next week, March 4th, 5th, and 6th, I think it is, or 3rd, 4th, and 5th. It's the Thursday, Friday. And if I make the cut, I fish Saturday. I'm going to do some videos for you guys while I'm down there getting ready for the tournament. I can't predict it's going to go well because the lake's frozen right now. And if it's thawed, the water's going to be so cold that the fishing is going to be super tough. Andy Montgomery had part to do with the development of that reel. Interesting. Andy Montgomery, they say, is quite a flipper pitcher and a skipper as well. Yeah, I got some space here for some rats, and I'm going to make some more space. And then I've got I got a couple other big swim baits coming as well that I do not have. They're different than the ones I've got here, so that'll be fun to look at. Are you drawing the live reel winner giveaway on March 13th? Yes. March 13th is when we're giving this reel away. Here. March 13th. That should be fun. For sure. Are you drawing the live? Okay, we already answered that one. Clint's coming to KC, man. You ought to track me down. How long are you going to be here? Can't watch, don't want to know what's in my sack. It's the only mystery sub I get. Fair enough, Christopher. I understand. You don't want to mess with the excitement of it. Yeah, these rats are pretty cool. Let me see if I can show you one. I don't know if I have one on here or not. Yeah, I've got one here. Let me see if I can share my screen and show you one of these rats I bought. I definitely share screen, Chrome tab. All right, see if you can see this. Can you guys see that? How about that? Can you see my screen? If there's a kid still on here tonight, give them the box. If not, put it in the drawing Saturday. I do want in the drawing for one of those hats, though. Okay. See Big Hill? Since you're giving the prize away, I'll make sure you get one of the hats. How's that? All right. Clint says yes. Yeti Whisper says no. See you, Weston. Have a good night, buddy. Anyway, if you can see my screen. Oh, wait. Hold on. Here we go. Can you see it now? How about that? The PB rat. Go look them up on YouTube. Watch some PB rat videos, and then you'll get all fired up when you see them in my. You see them live, and they're pretty cool. They are sick-looking rats, and apparently, I got the 3-piece, John, not the 4-piece. They make a 2, a 3, and a 4-piece version. I got the 3-piece. I got a couple of them. Yeah, pretty awesome. Pretty awesome for sure. Yeah, how many kids have we got still on the live stream right now? I'm going to go back to my screen here. Can you guys see me? John says they are full resin. Yeah, I got some of the Spro rats as well. I'll show you those as well. Spro rats are awesome. Yeah, the tails are replaceable. All you do is just put a trick worm in for the tail. So that's pretty sweet. All right, we got any kids on here? Dan Thompson, are you a kid? Clint's not a kid, I know. Christopher Shue, he's 38. Yeah, that does not qualify as a kid. Yeah, trick worm for the tail. That's clever, man. Grown kids. Chops is 39. How many kids we got on still? Just Weston? Yep, Jeff's not a kid. Jan's a kid at heart. John's 14, but he wins too much, so he'll pass. Weston, what counts as a kid? You definitely count as a kid, Weston. There's no question about it. All right. I just sent Weston the blade crate, so I think what I'm going to do, since he's put it back in, I'm going to do a kids-only question Saturday night, and we'll give that away Saturday night. How's that, C. Big Hill? Don't want to exclude Weston, but he's already won recently, and he'll win. He'll win on Saturday too. He's got a lucky streak. Landon's won a ton as well, but I think Landon has gone for the night. Let me see if there's anything else I was going to tell you guys. Don't forget about JB's fishing jigs. Talked about the giveaway. And I'm going to do a video. I told you I showed you the bags. I think Yeti Whisperer said he has that Ego bag. Did you say you got the Ego one, Yeti Whisperer? How do you like it? I'm curious about that. John's went quite a bit. In fact, I think I've still got something I got to send him. I'm holding out for shipping. Yeah, I like when the kids win too. That's cool. Weston trusts us. He's won a lot. No doubt. What all am I doing with all the bags? Well, some of the bags I'm keeping, some I have returned, and then some I'm getting donated and then just returning back. Like the Ego company sent me 3 bags to do videos on. They're basically just loaning them to me, and then I'll send them back when I'm done. Lure Lock says they're going to send me some stuff and let me do videos on it. They haven't shown up yet, so we'll see. But those Ego bags, man, they are pretty awesome. The only other bags that I've done videos on that I think are as good a quality are those Flambeau bags. Those big Flambeau bags are something else. That big Heritage pack and the Portage pack, they are nice. Yeah, that's a problem, C. Big Hill. If you get a really big bag, it is so easy to overload it, to just totally pack it down. And I had that happen. I had that big Bass Pro green bag back when Cabela's used to make it. And I had that sucker full to the gills, and I took it to Canada and I ripped the bag completely down one of the seams. It was so heavy, so full of tackle. So you got to be careful about that stuff. Well, dudes, it's almost 9 o'clock and it's a school night. So we probably ought to wind down, but I'm looking forward to going through that 6 cent sack with you guys tomorrow night at 7. That should really be fun. And then, of course, Saturday we'll do our regular giveaway. Spinnerbait preference right now. Any water. Christopher Shue. I'm not throwing a spinnerbait right now. The water where I'm at, that would not work. But when I am throwing a spinnerbait, I'd probably earlier on start with more of a finesse type spinnerbait, smaller spinnerbait. I like some of my favorite spinnerbaits are the War Eagle spinnerbaits. Yeah, That's what I do too, Yeti Whisperer. Even though I got a boat and a kayak, I still go with buddies on boats, and I'll take a bag with me. So I like fishing bags. Okay, guys, I'm going to wrap her up. Thanks for hopping on. Hope you guys enjoyed that. It was great having Chris on here. And how about that? He's going to get Randy Howell on the live stream with us. That'll be a blast. And Saturday night, we will give away those hats. And see Big Hill, you've already got one. Thanks for all you've done for the channel. Appreciate it. Take it easy, guys. Have a good night. I am ending in 3, 2, 1. See ya.